Jack, out here. It's Heat Vision.
Heat Vision, you gotta help me.
Okay, I can't get in there, man. Doorknobs, remember?
Before there was Rick and Morty, and before there was Community, there was Heat Vision and Jack. Co-created by Dan Harmon and Rob Schrab, the comedic sci-fi adventure show paid tribute to some of the most beloved and nerdy TV series in history while showing off a sense of humor that was way ahead of its time. It also boasted the talents of Ben Stiller, Jack Black, and Owen Wilson, which might make you wonder how it's possible you never heard of it. Well, that's because Heat Vision and Jack was the greatest pilot that never actually aired.
Holy shit, what are you doing? What is Jack? Crazy eyes!
Heat Vision.
In 1994, comic book writer and artist Rob Schrab published the first issue of Scud, the Disposable Assassin, a sci-fi comedy adventure comic about a robot assassin that would self-destruct after it completes its mission. The series was a success, and after the fourth issue, Schrab would bring in his friend and writing partner Dan Harmon to help with the scripts. In 1997, famed director Oliver Stone would buy the rights to turn Scud into a movie, and Schrab and Harmon would move to Los Angeles to write that movie. But they soon learned that neither Stone nor the studio making the film had any intention of letting them write the script, since they were just, quote, comic book guys.
The worst movie ever! And send and sip.
Disillusioned but still determined, the pair decided to write a spec script to show Hollywood what they were capable of. The script was an action comedy called Big Ant Movie, and it was about giant ants taking over the world. Weird though it was, the script was passed to Back to the Future director Robert Zemeckis, who loved it and immediately set up a meeting. Zemeckis never made the film, but he did hire Harmon and Schrab to write the movie Monster House, and that success got the two a meeting with Ben Stiller. At the time, Stiller was hot off the mega hit film There's Something About Mary, and he was looking for ideas for TV shows to fulfill the deal he made with ABC. Stiller next asked the two if they had any ideas for a show that could star an actor named Jack Black. At the time, Schrab and Harmon only knew Black from his appearance in The Cable Guy and The Never-Ending Story Part 3. They had also heard rumors about Tenacious D, so they went to see the band and were blown away by the actor's energy.
We're taping, right? We're taping, right? Yeah, we're taping, right? Always record. Always record.
Schrab would later recall, we saw in Jack a Shatner-esque zeal. I've always wanted to make a low-budget sci-fi action show. At the same time, Harmon had a deep affection for Knight Rider, Automan, and other pre-1990s era adventure shows which found a super-powered troubleshooter character roaming from town to town, helping regular folks in need. So the pair sat down one weekend and banged out a pilot that would pay tribute to such series. That pilot was called Heat Vision and Jack.
Knowledge is power. For real.
The show was a sci-fi comedy that followed the adventures of Jack Austin, a former astronaut who literally flew too close to the sun and as a result gained the power of superintelligence.
I know everything!
The only catch was, his ability only worked at night.
And I'll come back for you, right?
Oh, I won't be here. Come sunrise, I'll be so intelligent no cell will be able to hold me.
NASA tries to imprison Jack for their own nefarious reasons, but he escapes. During that escape, Jack's roommate is shot with an experimental laser which transfers his personality into a motorcycle. From that point on, he takes on the name Heat Vision, and together, Heat Vision and Jack travel around the country solving supernatural mysteries and trying to stay one step ahead of a government assassin sent by NASA to kill them. That setup is ostensibly taken from a 1985 pilot called North Star. But while North Star was a failure, the script for Heat Vision and Jack was about as well received as Harmon and Schrab could have hoped for. Despite the hype, ABC passed on the project, igniting a bidding war between the other networks. That war was won by Fox, and Stiller's production company immediately got to work. The pilot begins with a goofy, self-referential appearance by Stiller, who directly addresses the camera about the long-since-canceled Ben Stiller show and how he since won an Emmy, an accomplishment even George Lucas can't claim to have achieved.
And that's a promise you won't be hearing from Georgie Lucas. Hey there, Mr. Beard. How many Emmys do you have?
The episode's story then finds Heat Vision and Jack squaring off with a well-intentioned local sheriff, an alien menace that possesses the body of a short-order cook, and of course, Ron Silver, playing a fictionalized version of himself who, in addition to being a famous actor, is also an invincible government assassin. And the episode wears its influences on its sleeve. Jack, for example, shares a last name with Steve Austin, the hero of the largely similar series The $6 Million Man, and the alien villain feels as though it could be lifted directly out of an episode of Doctor Who, a show Heat Vision is even shown watching during the pilot.
That's why I couldn't turn Heat Vision into ashes. Heat got no eyes.
It's true. I don't have any eyes.
The creative team was so happy with the final product, they immediately started planning future installments and hiring writers. All involved fully expected the network to greenlight the series, but that's not what happened. Instead, Fox passed without even airing it.
Oh, what the f*** happened here?
Schraub and Harmon were informed by their agent, after which, according to Schraub, I walked out to the parking lot, got into my car, and cried like a little girl. I cried because I realized Heat Vision and Jack was never going to have another episode ever. It was like watching your pet die.
Come on, punk! You watch him! Please! Please don't hurt me! No! Oh my god!
The team never was informed why exactly Fox passed, but in the subsequent weeks, they heard reports that it may have been too expensive to produce, or might have felt too much like a sketch and not enough like a show, or that it just might have been too out there. Whatever the case, Heat Vision and Jack was dead, at least officially.
Jack, where are you? What?
Heat Vision.
He pushed me over.
He got away?
Listen, lady, he pushed me over.
Because while Fox might have passed, the unaired pilot would eventually make its way onto the internet, where it would develop a following and come to be an influential cult classic, frequently cited as the greatest pilot that never reached air. Harmon and Schraub, for their part, would continue to beat the drum for Heat Vision and Jack for quite some time. In 2004, Schraub would report efforts to make the property into a movie, and in 2007, he would claim a script was being written, adding, "Right now, everyone is on board and Jack wants to do it, and Stiller has his own personal project, but he's saying he loves it, and he wants to do it." Evidently, however, that plan fell through, and in 2014, Harmon reported that he and Schraub had sold the idea to a studio that was developing it into an animated cartoon. That cartoon would have been made without the involvement of Harmon, Schraub, Stiller, or any of the original cast, but it never materialized anyway. At the time, Harmon clearly stated his preference for a live-action reboot, but as of 2025, no such project had emerged either. And maybe that's for the best. Heat Vision and Jack's legend is largely based on everyone's expectations of how great the non-existent project would have been. But whether it would have actually lived up to those expectations is anyone's guess. In fact, even Schraub has stated, "I think it's better this way. Heat Vision and Jack was a really out there show, and if it got on the air, it might have sucked. Who knows? I like it that Heat Vision is a legend that only a few ultra-hip people know about."
Well, you learn to accept things when you're on the run. If fate makes you a motorcycle, you become a motorcycle.
It's actually kind of ironic, considering that, thematically speaking, Heat Vision and Jack was about embracing whatever it was life had turned you into, whether that was a superhero, a motorcycle, or just maybe the greatest pilot that never aired.
I say a round planet is a gift. We can move forward forever, find a different horizon every week.
So, what do you think? Have you ever seen the Heat Vision and Jack pilot? And if so, what did you think? Let us know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely find others you like if you check out the rest of the channel. As always, thank you for subscribing to Nerdstalgic.